Lesson 7, homework assignment number 2. Kids, it's Professor Thomas here. We're going to do a quick overview before we jump on in this particular homework assignment. Number 1, first of all, we learned in lesson number 1, we learned about the topic sentence rule. Basically, the big picture, it's important to keep in mind that it's going to be that first sentence or so. It's going to give you a personal opinion, and the paragraph is going to go on and try and support that particular idea. So what we want to do is pay close attention and keep going back and forth between the details and the topic sentence. If you're not sure what that detail means, always quickly look back at that topic sentence. Number 1, it's the structure of how people write topic sentence paragraphs with details and conclusions at the bottom. Remember, lesson number 1. Lesson number 2, we went in and we learned about the Scooby-Doo technique. The Scooby-Doo technique basically says this: they're going to use vocabulary throughout the passage that's going to refer to the same concepts that they've talked about earlier. That means stuff from the topic sentence is going to have to be repeated here. And to keep you interested, supposedly authors are taught, believe it or not, to use and change the words around. Well, what happens to a kid is you start getting lost because you're reading all the specific words instead of trying to remember what the big picture is. If they simply would just use the same words throughout the passage, it'd be a heck of a lot easier to understand what they're doing. But for stylistic points, as they say in school, they always switch the vocabulary around. What our job is to realize that the words that are in here are going to have to relate back to the noun and the verb that are in the topic sentence up here. So keep that in mind and be somewhat flexible. Sometimes we might have to say something like Jimmy in the passage topic sentence, and the details down here might say something like the soccer player. Well, we have to assume that the soccer player is Jimmy. Or maybe in the topic sentence it says Jimmy is good at sports, and then down over here it says can throw the baseball really hard. Well, when you can throw the baseball really hard, that's baseball, which is a sport. So basically it says the same thing repeated throughout the passage. Number 3, the next thing that we learned was something called the good stinky rule. Basically what we're doing throughout all of our passages is working with vocabulary. We're going to come across words that we don't know. So what do? Instead of trying to just look at the word and then read it, we want to understand what it really means. The way we do that is A, Scooby-Doo, and B, the good stinky rule. You label the sentence that the word comes from, or the word positive, negative, or it could be neutral as well. So for example, if our topic sentence is positive, you see something up here, Jimmy's good at sports, we know that in order to support that, we're going to have details that are positive. So if you come across words in the paragraph that you don't know, you can assume maybe they're positive. The next thing that we learned, number 4, we learned the author's timeline. The author's timeline, as we mentioned before, is basically a continuum. We start off back in the day, how things were created, background information or old school stuff, and we progress down the timeline into more current issues, and potentially at the very end it would be present day, or some cases it might be future. So they could talk about the space program. Space program was originally done, the Russians were the first ones to go into space, then the Americans went to the moon, and then after that we went to Mars. Who knows, in the future we might be traveling through black holes into different galaxies. Bam. Boom, 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 straight down the timeline. Number 5, we talked about cultural coding. To keep ourselves interested, that is the whole key here, kids. Don't just look at the words here, because I'll be honest with you, it's boring when you do that. You read every single word, it's boring. So you know what you do? You come in here and you say, hey, this is about pets for people, so people have pets. I bet you this whole passage is going to talk about pets, and who are the pets belong to? Let me think. People. So how easy that is? So when you see stuff over here, it's got to say something about pets and people. So make it say that. Make it say what comes from the topic sentence, and make it say what it comes from the title. Bam. Cultural coding. Take information from elsewhere that you learned and apply it to this passage. For example, pets for people. Well, a llama. Well, I don't really know anyone that's got a llama, so maybe that's probably not what they're going to talk about. Let's see. What could they possibly talk? Dog. That's the first thing that comes into my mind. Dog, or a cat, or maybe even like a bird. Cultural coding says use information from the environment to keep you interested and to keep you relating it back so you're able to try and predict where the author is in the timeline. Wham! See, we just added that in there. Number 6, the next thing that we talk about here was something called structural clues. Structural clues are basically words that are going to be like a flag post or a stop sign, some kind of a road map here. It's going to tell you where they are. For example, if they use the word however is a structural clue that tells us that that is a flip-flopper. That means the two sentences, the sentence before and the sentence after, are going to have to go opposite of each other. So if it says something positive on the left, then on the right, when you use the word however, chances are it's going to say something negative. That helps us understand what each one of these sentences says. When you understand what the sentence says, then think about how it's related back to your topic sentence. Wham! You are now on your way to understanding passages quicker, faster, and you'll start realizing you don't need every single word. For example, let me give you a wacky explanation, a little story here. For example, just to prove that you don't need every single word. You don't need every single word in the passage to understand what's going on. Why? How about the word the? T-H-E. What the heck? I looked this word up in the dictionary multiple times. I still don't know what it means. Do you know what the word the means? You've read it a million times. If you agree with me that you don't know what the word the means, then why are you reading it? Take a wild guess how many times the word the appears in this passage here. If you read verbatim every single word, it's probably going to take you some time to read that when you could probably be outside goofing around doing something else. So why read stuff that doesn't have any meaning? See kind of where we're going with this? I just alluded to the fact about the whole thing in the program. The key words that are going to be important throughout the passage: nouns and verbs, kids. Pay attention to nouns and verbs. Why? Because the topic sentence is going to be all about the noun and the verb, and the details are going to relate back to the noun and the verb here. Bam. Don't tell anybody I told you that, because that is a total secret. If you tell Sandra, my assistant, I gave this away in the video, she will strangle me. All right, anyways, let's get serious, kids. We'll get started here with this particular passage. The name of the title, as we mentioned before, was Pets for People. Let's break it on down here. When you look at the topic sentence, here's what it says. It says people have been adjunctly attached to domestic pets since the post-Cenozoic era. If you look over here, the main subject, the noun, is people, and they have been attached to pets. Noun, noun. These two nouns are connected together by the verb. Bam. The whole passage has got to say something about people and pets, how they have some kind of association. When you come down over here, we're thinking of the author's timeline. We're going to talk about the Cenozoic era. That's background information a long time ago. You can assume down over here it's going to talk about more present-day stuff, and then maybe in the future or maybe a little bit later down over here. All right, so without further ado, here's what we're going to do with this passage. Instead of going through the whole thing, because you've already done that, what we'll do is jump on in, we'll go right into the questions, and we'll review the whole passage as we need. This is Lesson 2, homework assignment number 7, so I know you have heard me say this so many times already. We'll just jump right into the questions. Let's go get started with question number 1. Number 1, what does bicolored mean in paragraph 2, line 2? First of all, you already know that the word bi means two. So we are going to go over here. Keep in mind that's the prefix rule. Second thing that we would do is come over here. We're going to read, here's the word. We would read the sentence before and the sentence after to get what I call a contextual feel. Apart from dogs, the main subject here is cats. They're the only domesticated animals that dwell indoors and are bicolored. So what do you know about a cat that lives indoors? Probably tabby, tan and white or whatever you would call that. Then we'd read the next sentence. It's also one that is solitary in the wild as opposed to living in packs and herds. So the word bicolored, we already know what the root word is. The root word is color. So that's different colors. And then bi is the prefix. So two colored cats. That's what that would say, using a couple different things here. When we come over here, bicolored is going to mean two colors, two different colors. Using cultural coding, what two colors would you think of right away? I said white and maybe kind of a tan, like a tabby. For some reason, when I think of a cat, I think of a tabby. I don't know why. What did you think of? Did you think of a tabby, or did you think of like a fluffy Persian cat? Number two, what does the word unaltered mean in paragraph 2, line 8? We go back down to paragraph 2, line 8. Here's the word. Once again, we read the surrounding area. And keep in mind that we have a prefix here that is un. So let's go ahead and do two things here. First of all, we will use the prefix, and we will read the surrounding area. I kind of want to put all this stuff together, all the different steps. This autonomy allows cats to remain nearly unaltered and has allowed them to stay closer to the domesticated animals besides their wild cousins. So unaltered means that they are going to stay closer to their original ancestors. So these two words are connected. You see how we just basically gave ourselves a definition. Unaltered means staying closer to the original format, which would suggest unchanged. Then we see the prefix un means to do, like to undo it, the opposite. If you're going to alter something, a Scooby-Doo for the root word altered is changed. So when we unchange something, we're going to unalter it. We're looking for an answer choice that says something close to that. When we scroll down to number 2, unbroken, entire, the same, or untouched. When it's unaltered, it is going to stay the same. So C is going to be the closer the answer choices. Prefix un means to do the opposite, to undo something. Let's go ahead and take a look at 3. The word monobehavior in paragraph 2, line 4. Well, first of all, we see that we have a prefix mono. Mono means one. Behavior is a root word. So we have one type of a behavior. We come over here and we use a couple other things to take a look and see. We're going to use the surrounding area, read the sentence before and after. It says, as a result of this independence, cats, the main subject, cats have one behavior, and that one behavior is self-satisfying. So let's go over here and take a look at the answers here. Monobehavior would then therefore be defined actions, single reaction style, actions to a single sound, conduct in a similar manner to other animals. Well, if it's one behavior, we're looking for one behavior. Sound and behavior are not they're not the same, so that's crossed out right away. Defined actions, that's off topic. It's singular reaction, which is one, single and mono. Say the same thing, Scooby-Doo style. 3, B is the correct answer. Let's move on to 4. We take a look at 4. We are going to use some more prefix stuff over here. 4 says on line 3 in paragraph 1, we're looking for ingenuity with in. In prefix, we already learned that. It means in, like inside. So if you look at the root word here, this is kind of fun because Jeni. That reminds me a lot of the word genius. So you just put a different ending on there, it. So the root word here is basically genius, and in means inside a genius. Human ingenuity, it means inside your genius, like in your brain. Like, wow, you're really clever, man. That came from your thought process of just being just a super genius. So see what we just did? We made kind of a wacky word into something real easy. When we use the concept of prefix, as well as some Scooby-Doo stuff as well. So over here, in means inside, and the root word here is genius. Inside the genius. Where is inside the genius? Genius comes from your mind, so it's inside your thought process. Like, boy, you thought this is a great thinking process. I like the way you deducted that. Problem number 5 in paragraph 2, line 4, the word antics most likely means. First of all, we take a look here. We have anti. Anti is our prefix. You already know that the word anti is going to do the opposite. It's going to be the opposite of something. For example, if it's the root word is social, then you see antisocial is going to be against being social. So hanging out by yourself would be antisocial behavior. You come over here and we see that the root word or the root part here is ICS, ix. I don't really know what that means. There's not really a root word in here. That suffix we never really talked about. Thomas, I need help. So You already know that the word anti means against, so we're going to now use a little bit of Scooby-Doo-ness by reading the surrounding area. Let's take a look at the sentence just before antics. Here it says, as a result of this independence, Cat's antics reveal some type of behavior that's self-satisfying. So when that self-satisfying behavior happens, I'm thinking good stinky rule. I feel like that's negative. So mono behavior that's self-satisfying, I just feel like that's negative. So that means that this antics thing is associated with that. So that's going to be a negative word, good stinky rule. And you already know that because ANTI, like anti-social. Social is like hanging out with your friends. Anti-social is just like being like a snail sitting in your room by yourself. So it's negative. See what we did? We used a little bit of Scooby-Doo along with good stinky, and now we're going to go ahead and take a look at prefix stuff. So Cat's got some weird behavior going on that's a little bit on the negative side. Let's scroll on down and take a look at our answer choices, and we will see what antics means. If you look at answer choice, Thomas, what is going on with this? It's ghosting machine, kids. Take a look at 5. 5A says mischievous behavior. Mono behavior that's self-satisfying, is that mischievous? Put it out by it. Behavior that is normal. Well, if mono behavior and self-satisfying is negative, is that behavior normal? Probably not. Cross that one. Oh, we already know that ANTI means to go against it. So I'm thinking already, ooh. Did you see that? If all that other stuff means some type of behavior, self-satisfying, then this relates back to anti-behavior. So it's like against behavior. What kind of behavior do people normally do? Normal. See what I just did there? I just kind of combined everything and came up with a definition. Let's continue on. C, doing the same thing again. Is that a bad kind of a thing? Is that self-satisfying? Not really. Cross that out. It's off topic. D, being scolded for bad behavior. That is a distortion. It says kind of what that word, the self-satisfying thing. Cross that one out. Mischievous behavior. Antics is exactly that. Antics is like what a cartoon character would do, getting into mischief, cause a little bit of trouble. Just like Professor Thomas. I'm good like that, kids. 5 is A. Answer choice is going to be the best one here. Let's take a look at 6. 6, what is another way of expressing the main idea for the word confines in paragraph 3, line 3? C-O-N. Do you remember what this prefix means? Think about it. What does C-O-N mean? Think of a word that we've seen before. Con. So if you remember from the video lesson that we talked about the word con, we had some things like contradict, contrast. So it kind of suggests it's like going opposite. So we have confines. This is going to do opposite of what we would normally do. So let's go ahead and use the Scooby-Doo and the good stinky rule and take a look at this and see if we can get a better feel for this. Here it is. It says confines right here. Let's go ahead and pull that red pen out. So we're going to read the sentence before and after. All right. It says, first of all, in this sentence, the confines of the temple in Egypt. So we have a temple in Egypt, and then here it says these cultures and the Pharaoh's tomb. So Pharaoh's tomb, temple. And we are going to have mummies. Well, where do they keep mummies? Mummies are inside the tomb and temple. So confines has to do with being inside. Let's go ahead and... Now, if you think about Greek or Latin, I've got a feeling that this is not a Latin word. It's a Greek word. And Greek is a teeny bit weirder than Latin. But this is how I would explain it. So where are you everywhere in the world? You're outside, right? It's just like you're free, right? That's normal people is free. Walk around, do whatever you want. Okay. So if you're going to do the opposite of what you normally would do, you'd have to put con on there, like contradict, go against. So if you're free to contradict or go against that, confines would mean put you in a place where you're not free. You'd be confined. So if that makes any sense, that would be my take on this word. It would be interesting to find out. I think I'll actually do a Google search when I finish this video to actually see if this is a Greek word or if this is indeed a Latin word. The bottom line comes down to this. We know the word confines has to do with something to do with inside. So once again, write something down with inside, container. See what we did with that? Related that back to the cultural coding style here. Let's take a look at the next problem. It's problem number 7 here. What does the word macro images mean in paragraph 1, line 5? Well, macro means large. Micro, small, macro, large. So we have large images, paragraph 1, line 5. Let's go ahead and take a look and see from the surrounding area. Macro images. Later, animals domesticated, transcended, the dogs and the cats. Well, macro images on the pyramid walls. So we've got these macro images. They're big images or blown up images or something like that. Let's go ahead and take a look at our answer choices. Once we have a rough idea what the word means, we can go ahead and process elimination, double pass, cross stuff out. Similar images. Well, similar, we already know that macro means large, so that's not right. B says different. Depictions is like an image, so that's a Scooby-Doo off of image. That actually is correct for depictions, but different, that is wrong. Close-up depictions, we know depictions is like an image, so that's good. And macro, close-up, when you have a close-up of something, take a wild guess what happens. It's big. Very good images, that's wrong. It's going to be C. Close-up images are big. Macro. 7, C. Let's take a look at 8. Problem number 8, we're going to use a good stinky rule along with a little bit of Scooby-Doo, cultural coding, and let's do some prefix as well. The word here is autonomy. We see the prefix here is auto. Auto, you already know, automobile means go by itself. Automobile. Line 2, paragraph 2, line 7. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Paragraph 2, line 7. And here it is. And what does it say? We read the surrounding area. Let's go ahead and get that red pen out here. Underline this. Start with the sentence. This autonomy allows cats to remain nearly unaltered and allow them to stay closer to their domesticated animals, just like their wild cousins and stuff. All right, great. Autonomy. That did not help me. So what do? I look at the sentence above. A cat takes what it wants from man and pays its dues in return without losing its original identity. It takes what it wants. There it is. So autonomy is defined as taking what you want. Let's broaden that out and get rid of take and just say do. Do what you want. That is our new definition for autonomy. See what I did? And now you already know that the word auto means by itself. So you're going to do it by yourself automatically. That's kind of a redundancy there. Let's take a look at autonomy, doing it by yourself automatically. Autonomy means you're independent. That's another Scooby-Doo for it. Number 9 on line 1, paragraph 1, the word adjunctly most closely means what? First things first, we'll look at the prefix. AD means add, like addition. So we know that we're going to connect things by adding them together. Adjunctly, we look at the sentence here. It says, people have been adjunctly attached. So first of all, let's take a look at a couple things. Add means to, like, you're going to addition, and then junked. Cultural coding says J-U-N-C-T, reminds me of something I've learned before, like junction. A junction is like, you know, you go in a junction in the road, there's like a two pieces junction in the road where maybe there's a split. You're going to add two roads to one. So that's a junction. You're going to add or attach two things together. And it looks like we're going to add or connect pets to people. So when you add or connect pets to people, what's another word for that using the Scooby-Doo? We come on down here, we take a look at our answer choices, and we start with A. A says associated with. When you connect, are you associated? Maybe, put a dot by that. It sounds okay so far. B, unconnected, that's opposite. We can cross that out. Disassociated. The root word is ociated or associated. That means a connection. And then when you put the prefix dis on it, it means to go against. So disassociated means you're not connected. That is opposite of what we were looking for. Both of those are wrong. And proximal is totally off topic. We can cross that out right away. A is the better answer choice. When you have a pet and a person, they're going to have an association or some kind of relationship connection. 9, A is the correct answer. Let's move on to number 10. Number 10, 10 is a Scooby-Doo. We're going to Scooby-Doo. We're going to prefix. We're going to cultural code. We're looking for this word prosperity. It starts off with P-R-O, prefix. What is the definition of prefix? Pro, P-R-O, professional, produce, product. It means to make something. It means something super positive. So you come over here and we find our word prosperity in paragraph number 1. And let's go ahead and use a couple things here. First things first, let's pull that red pen out. We're going to read the sentence before. Let's underline this. It says macro images on the pyramids reveal at times civilizations were in prosperity. And there's many different shapes and sizes of dogs. So we have Egyptians and the pyramids. First of all, when I think of Egypt, cultural coding style, I think of a mummy. I don't know why, I just think of a mummy. Mummy and a pyramid. Okay? Why do I think of a pyramid and a mummy? If you thought of a pyramid first, take a one wild guess what's a pyramid for. To keep a mummy. Alright, so you're going to throw a mummy in the pyramid. When you throw a mummy in the pyramid, you say, geez, that's a huge project to throw a mummy inside there. Who is going to make a pyramid to put a mummy in? A mummy is like some person's like grave, basically, is what it is. So maybe it's like a rich person. I don't know why, but I just think cultural coding, that just makes me think that. You see where I'm going with this, kids? Prosperity, and then I see the prefix pro. I know that this is going to be positive. So maybe the Egyptians had like some money. Is that far-reaching or is that doable? Think of what I just did there. You see, it's a classic example of using a little bit of cultural coding and a little bit of spin, geniusy spin. Prosperity means they're doing really well financially. 10. On to 11. 11. We're going to use some Scooby-Doo-ness on this one. And, we'll do a little bit of good stinky. We're going to go through the whole passage, find words that are positive or negative, and let's go ahead and label them. Let's take a look at paragraph number 1 and 2. First of all, people have been adjunctly attached. When you're attached to something, that's going to be positive. So let's put a plus next to that. Domesticated, I feel like that's positive. Kind of like taming. We have earliest known evidence. Evidence is going to be positive. Ingenuity, all these black words I'm going to hold off on. Domesticated, we said, is positive already. Found, when you find something, usually that's going to be something that was lost. So that's going to be a positive thing. And domestication, again, positive. We look over here. Egyptian pyramids, for some reason, I just feel like that's positive. Come over here. Civilizations, I feel like that's positive. And dwelling indoors, that's positive. That tells me that they're, not fierce. They're not going to eat me. Frequently, that would be a positive word. And solitary, I feel like that's negative. Wild, I feel like that's negative. Opposed, I feel like that's negative. Independence, I feel like that's positive. Self-satisfying is negative. Opposed, Submissive, that's negative. Master, if you're the master, that's positive. Come over here. Pay its dues, I feel like that's negative. Pest control, I feel like that's good. Get rid of the pests. Losing is negative. Identity is positive. All kinds of words in here that give you some kind of a feel for this. Domestication. Wild feels like it's negative. Over here, control feels negative. Breeding, that feels positive. All kinds of words using this good stinky rule here. Human support is withdrawn. Withdrawn is negative. Come over here. Scroll on down. We're going to speed up a teeny bit. There's so much of the stuff in here, kids. You've seen this a gazillion times before. Earliest, that's positive. Ingrained, positive. Culture, positive. Pharaoh's tomb, for some reason I feel like that's positive. Temple, that's positive. And sacred animals, positive. Mummified, I feel like that's like weird. Negative. King, queen, and royalty, all positive. There you have it. It is good stinky rule on that one. Gazillion. Do you see what I just did? You basically, when you understand that what they're doing here with this, you see that the overall tone of this passage is super positive because all the words are positive. We only saw one area that was negative, and I bet you there was a flip-flopper in there that had like but yet or however. We'll find that when we get into one of the next questions. I feel like there's a flip-flopper in there. Look and see, maybe there's as opposed, making a contradiction here. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next question. The next question is going to be problem number 12. Using the Scooby-Doo technique, keeping in mind prefix rule, what's another word for inability? First of all, root word is ability, means to be able to do something. In is going to be inside that. Inability. So inside the ability of being able to do something. What's inside that? Let's take a look at paragraph 2, line 9. I feel like that really didn't help me at all. Here is our word, inability. And it says, in the sentence above, it says, autonomy has allowed them to remain unaltered, staying closer to than other domesticated animals to the wild, partly because of the inability to control the breeding. So humans can't control the breeding, and that's going to keep these animals from not changing. So inability here is probably going to suggest that you can't do it. Ability means do, and then in this case in is not going to really be inside of it. It's going to be in like a contradictory statement here. It's going to be like you can't keep them from doing it. Inability, this is a word we probably already know in our vocabulary as well. Not able to, that'd be a great Scooby-Doo on that one. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next problem. Problem 13, the word uniformly in paragraph 3, line 4 must mean a couple things here. Let's go ahead and play around with this using a bunch of different techniques here. First of all, we look at this cultural coding. Let's do this first. So we see this word uniformly is basically the same word as uniform. A uniform, when you wear a uniform to school, you got to do the same thing. You have to wear the same thing. So the word uniformly is going to have to say something about the same. The second thing that we notice about this word is it starts off with the prefix uni, universe, university. So what is going on in the universe? There's a bunch of planets, and they're all planets. University, you're having a bunch of people do all the same stuff there. What are they doing? They're learning. See what we just did there? Cultural coding a little bit with the prefix. Let's go ahead now, use a little bit of Scooby-Doo-ness. We'll go into paragraph 3 and we'll look at the word in context to the other words. Here it is. It says, they uniformly mummified in millions the masters, which could have been a king or whatever. Paragraph, sentence before says, in temples in Egypt, cats were seen as sacred animals. And now we're talking about in the temple, in the tombs, we have mummies. So we know that mummified is going to have to do something with the same. Well, actually, cultural coding tells us that mummification is something that I saw on like the History Channel. And they do, it's a specific process, step by step by step. So since that's the same step-by-step process, which is called mummification, we already know that from some other things that we did. So we already know the answer to this problem. Quite easy. It's got to say something about being the same. A says not level. Wrong. Get it out of there. Different manner, we already know it's got to say the same. That's out. Same, that's on track. And associated with is off topic. C for problem number 13. 14, using the concept of cultural coding, what other ancient civilizations might have learned about domestication for animals? Well, a couple things here. First of all, this is just applying knowledge that we may have learned before. First thing I think of is I have been into South America before, and in South America I was in Brazil, Chile, Peru, and they, for some reason, love the donkey. The donkey is a great way to travel and carry coffee beans and stuff like that. So the domestication a long time ago in South America as a pack mule was the first thing that came to my mind. The second thing that came to my mind was I was actually just watching a movie, Pirates of the Caribbean, and Johnny Depp had like a parrot on his shoulder. So ancient civilizations, that might not be like super ancient, but it's a civilization that was a long time ago. So to me, that's ancient. I think my grandparents are ancient, but what do I know? So 14 is going to be donkey, a parrot. There might be a bunch of other ones in there. Horse, that might be one. You know, cowboys and Indians. Buffalo from the Great Plains of the Dakotas. That's another one as well. Let's go ahead, take a look at problem number 15. It's the structural clues problem here. And what we want to do is we want to try and search out the 4 structural clues that are in this particular passage. Let's go ahead, scroll on up and find them. In paragraph number 1, the first structural clue that my eyes see right away is the word for example. And for example is right there on line 2. That's the first one. We scroll on down, and later that probably could be considered a structural clue. However, I didn't count that one. We come back over here if you're looking for extra credit. As a result, that's another one. We come down over here and scroll down a little bit further. Furthermore, it's the third one. And down over here is the word but. So those are the 4, and then later we saw that one probably could have been used as a structural clue as well. So remember, but is a contradictory one. This and this are going to be opposite. Structural clues that are opposite are called flag flip-floppers. We saw furthermore. You're going to further say the same thing basically. Later, this is going to be later information that you just saw earlier. For example, is going to be a detail to support your topic sentence, which you saw there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next problem. Using the Scooby-Doo technique and keeping in mind the prefix rule, what is another word for post-Cenozoic era in paragraph 1, line 2? First of all, we already know the prefix post means after, and Cenozoic era is a time period. So after that time period, we go back, spot check our work by simply looking at the surrounding area. People have been adjunctly attached to domesticated pets since after the Cenozoic era. That makes sense to me. It means after. Let's go ahead and take a look at 17. Problem number 17, what does the word transcended mean on paragraph 1, line 4? First of all, trans. Trans means across. So if you've got a line here like this word, you're going to go across the line of words. Transcend. I know that from chemistry. Let's go ahead and take a look at the surrounding area. Use a little bit of cultural coding and context. Later, animal domestication transcended from just dogs to. From to. You're going to go across from dogs to cats. Transcend. Let's go ahead and see which word best fits that specific scenario. A, you're going to go from just dogs, went further into cats. That works. Stay within dogs, stay within cats. That sounds weird. Confine from dogs just to cats. No, that's not what they're saying. Break out from dogs to cats. Both of those work. Let's go back. see which one's better, went further or break out, and look at it from a contextual standpoint. Later animal domestication broke out from dogs or went further. Well, you're going to expand. That's kind of what they're trying to say here. I like answer choice A. Says go beyond. 17, the correct answer here is going to be answer choice A. 18, scroll on down, get a better look. It says using the Scooby-Doo technique again and prefix. What's another word for the word reveal? We've seen this a gazillion times. It's the most popular prefix. Means to do it again. Veal. Let's take a look at paragraph 1, line 6. Reveal means to do something again. Veal or veil. And we find that right here. Here's our word. We read the surrounding area and that sentence. Macro images on the Egyptian pyramids reveal that by the time the civilizations were in prosperity, there were many different shapes and sizes of dogs. Reveal is going to do it again. It's going to show because of the images. Images, what do? They show. See how I kind of attached these words? I picked out key words, and that kind of helped me understand what the gist of the word is going to mean. So on this one, reveal means to like show or create an image. That would be another way of saying basically what you saw earlier. Finally, number 19, it's the last question here. It is the main idea question. What's the main idea of the passage? Go back to the topic sentence. Topic sentence says this: people have been attached to pets for a long time. So there's some kind of connection to the pets. What kind of pets, culture coding wise, can you assume? Dogs and cats. People have domesticated dogs and cats for a long time. Let's go ahead, take a look at the answer choices. The main idea, A says ancient dogs. Where's the cats part of it? That's out, too narrow. B says Egyptian cats. Where's the dogs part of it? That's too narrow. C says pets. I like that. From other countries. Maybe. Put a dot by it. And D says ancient domestication of animals. Cat and a dog are both animals. That's Scooby-Doo. Domestication. That's a key word. Keeping them. Attachment. And ancient, we talked about the timeline, remember? Old school, all that stuff about ancient Egypt. D is the better answer choice here for problem number 19. Kids, that's it for this particular lesson. We will see you in the last lesson. It is lesson number 8. Hang in there. We're almost done with the program. We'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.